the secret tax Labour forgot to mention in this autumn budget. Let's not call it a secret tax, let's call it, I'm sure they forgot to remind people about this. So let's go to our good friend, stamp duty. Well, it's actually so much better and worse than you think. So if you didn't know this, the announcement is that stamp duty is going up. But how exactly is it going up? Well, it's in 3 separate ways. Overall, not great for all investors, but actually it does create a window of opportunity. So let's go back to 2016. 2016 comes in and they decide to go, do you know what? Investors need to pay an additional stamp duty of 3%. So on top of what everyone else is paying, in the UK at least, we need to pay 3% above that. So it's a very flat fee. So what that means is stamp duty for home buyers goes up as it's going through, etc. And we as investors pay 3% more. So what's the big news? Well, they've decided to increase it to 5%. That's not the secret, by the way. Do you know what really pissed me off about it? Apart from I think it's really stupid, and I'll go through that in a second, it's more that almost every other change is taking place in April 2025, but this change was effective from tomorrow. What the fuck? Who does that, you dicks? Fuck you, Labour. So you can put that in, by the way. Don't even edit that out. So don't edit that out either. So this is a real big impact because obviously you can imagine a lot of investors going through. At the time of recording this, we have 95 properties going through legals. That's not just mine, that's my investors as well. Now, fortunately, we invest in an area of the UK where it's just not that big of an impact. But imagine I had 95 properties in central London, an average property price of 750 grand. Oh, by the way, tomorrow you're going to get charged another 2%. That's £15,000 per property. That's over £2 million of additional tax that me and my buyers would have had to change. But thankfully, we are not in those areas, so we're a lot better. Now, let me tell you why it's so stupid. If you think about who Labour is meant to represent, it's not exactly the wealthy individual. Like, do you really think that people buying really care that big of a deal? Yes and no, but who's it actually impacting? Renters. Why is that? Well, again, if you're always all over buy-to-let landlords, making it tougher and tougher for them to actually make profit from buy-to-let properties, then there's going to be less of them. When there's less of them, do you think that means people suddenly can't rent or don't want to rent? Of course they do. Then what happens when supply is low and demand is high? Prices go up. And so genuinely, I hate it because landlords like me, we're going to get the blame for this. And yet, it's the government's fault for doing this. Rents are going to go up an incredible amount over the next 12 months. So that's what the stamp duty is. But what didn't they tell us? Well, first of all, it's important to know that foreign investors also pay an additional 2% on top. So foreign investors that want to invest in UK property now pay 7%. What? 7%? You might start to think, why bloody invest? Well, you forget how strong of a property investment market the UK is. It's one of the oldest in the world as well, and it has the safest, believe it or not, banks in the world as well. And so we are a financial centre of the world. That is not about to change. Great, Jamie, I've got up to date. We know what the taxes are, and we know your opinion on Labour's government changes there. So what are the secret taxes? Well, it's not a secret, it's what didn't change rather than what did change. So there's 2 changes that come in September 2022, and they were a temporary relief. So these are both for homeowners. These are people that are buying property to live in the property. One of them is for first time buyers, the first ever property they've ever bought, and the other is for, could be your 3rd, your 4th property, but you're still selling one to move into the next. Make sense? Cool. So the first one is you're buying your next property, your average person, and they're increasing when you start paying stamp duty. And it's 2% stamp duty as the first level of stamp duty, but they increased it from 125,000 to 250,000. Nice, a nice little saving for people there. What that meant is, if you are buying your next property and it is anything up to 250,000, you don't pay any stamp duty. Okay, nice. For new home buyers, it's your first time buy, they increased the minimum of when you'll start paying stamp duty as well, which was from 300 to 425. And what that meant for a first time buyer is that you didn't pay stamp duty up to a purchase price of 425,000. Now you might be thinking, who the bloody hell is buying a 425 grand house? You would be shocked because they also made lending criteria a hell of a lot easier. So this was a temporary relief that was coming up to an end in March 2025. And they've not said anything about it. And so as of today, as it stands, those two changes are going back to 300k and back to 125k as of April, essentially 2025. What does this mean? Well, ironically, Labour have done it again. They've hurt the very people they're meant to represent here. It's going to hurt the people at the bottom end of the market. So if you're looking to buy a property, I would strongly recommend getting it in and completed before April 2025. And as it stands, those changes are coming back into play. What does it mean for us as investors? Yep, it means another 2%. Because the 5% that we now pay as a stamp duty is an additional land tax, okay? So it's on top of what a home buyer pays. So what that will mean is, even if you are buying a £125,000 property, which we pay 5% on, once that change comes into play and they need to pay 2%, we pay 5% above that. So we're gonna pay 7%. What does it mean for foreign investors? Well, there's a further 2% for you. So you're going to now be paying 9% as it stands at the time of this filming this video in April 2025. Oh my God. Crazy, right? Terrible news. Well, not really, actually. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's pounds that we could use in our pocket rather than the taxman that spends it so diligently, I'm sure. But instead of thinking like that, think about the other impacts. What it actually means is people in that mid-market, anything above 300,000, there's going to be downward pressure. So think about the property investment market as a tree with branches and leaves. The top of the market are the leaves. They get impacted the most, and so this change is going to impact the top of the market. And so if you're selling a property right now in that 500,000, 600, 700,000 mark, get it sold quick, because you are going to be massively impacted if you're selling a property. However, if you're selling a property between 100, 150 grand, can't believe I'm giving this advice, but it is legit advice, I would hold on to it if I were you, because I actually think there's going to be a lot of downward pressure. Buyers that were buying at the 300 mark will now be buying significantly lower. So anything in that sort of 100 to 300 mark, there's going to be built up demand in that. And so the property prices, ironically, won't be impacted, or if they are, they'll actually go up, which sounds crazy. But you have to bear in mind, when you're in doubt, zoom out. We don't invest in the property market or decide to or not invest based on a bit of stamp duty. We look at the long-term economics, and the reality is the fundamentals haven't changed. People need to live in property, both renters and buyers, and a majority of that sort of pressure is going to be on that level. So if you're looking to invest, it's a bit of a sneaky tax. Maybe they'll come out with an announcement where they're going to extend it, but as it stands today, nobody seems to be talking about it, but it is a massive impact. So for pretty much every buy-to-let investor, we need to be expecting to pay 7% stamp duty. What does this mean? Number one, yes, more upfront costs, but the upside is number two. What it means is that we can take advantage of this window of opportunity. Hopefully this goes out really quickly, this video. We're going to have 6 months-ish, 5 to 6 months to absolutely rinse this opportunity before this additional stamp duty comes in. But also, do not be shocked if your property prices end up going up even more the 12 months after. So we need to be navigating this new world as effectively as possible. Let's face it, we're going to invest. It's not going to change anything for us. The navigation just needs to change. And if you want help navigating your investments, not just for the next 10 years, but for the next 6 months, and you want to take advantage of this window of opportunity, put APG in the comments right now. That stands for Aspire Property Group. And what we're going to do is open up some free one-to-one slots. You need a minimum of 55,000, give or take, to invest in property. That's not paying me me, that's your deposit, and we will help you take advantage and start scaling your buy-to-let portfolio today. So put APG in the comments now. We'll send you a link. You can book in your free one-to-one consultation call. We will actually hold your hand all the way through and scale your portfolio. I hope this has been valuable. If you want to find out more sort of niche tips, tricks, and techniques, but also the unknown news that people don't seem to think about, click the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you did get value from this video, tap the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.